This is happened in April of 2018. I live in a major city in Texas. My apartment complex is gated and in a pretty good neighborhood, but the security is not the best. Sometimes the gates are left open and anyone can piggyback off someone else, entering with an access code. Twice in the past 3 years, the management has put out notice of vehicle break-ins or other items being stolen off porches. We also have frequent door-to-door solicitors, even though there are signs forbidding it. So on this particular Friday, I went to bed around 2:30 a.m. for some odd reason. I was having trouble going to sleep, so I put on a podcast to listen to, and I eventually started dozing off. I heard a clicking sound. I thought I might have been the upstairs neighbors making some noise. I kind of zoned this out as I am used to. My neighbor staying up late on the weekends. After about 30 seconds, I realized noise is extremely repetitive and getting louder. I then began focusing on it more intensely, trying to isolate what it could be and where it was coming from. Suddenly, it hits me it's coming from the entrance to my apartment. I leapt out of bed and head for the foyer. I definitely the noise right away. The lock mechanism is moving back and forth rapidly as if somebody is trying to unlock the front door. I can hear that an object is being inserted into the lock and the person is trying to jimmy it back and forth. Instinctively turn around, head to my bedside safe, unlock it with a combination and pull out my 357 pistol and loaded a 14 round magazine and chambered it with a hollow point round. I then head back to the front door. As I exit my bedroom, I see the lock twist. I immediately aimed my gun, knowing that if someone come through, I would have to make a split second decision. I decided that as somebody comes through the door, I would give them a momentary chance to retreat. But if they did anything other than that or enter aggressively, I am going to shoot and ask questions. Later, the inside latch lock prevented them from entering. When I first moved in, I remember thinking that the lunch lock was a good security measure, and I got into the habit of always keeping it locked when I am home. In the site, the decision saved me from a life or death confrontation. Upon realizing that, I approached the door and looked through the peephole. On the other side were two men and one woman. All three were wearing hoodies and it was difficult to make out their faces. The men seemed to have objects in their hands, but I could not make out exactly what the two men were talking back and forth, possibly trying to figure out why they could not open the door even though they had successfully opened the outside lock. The woman was also thinking very loudly. Anyone in the hallway would have been able to hear her voice. She was speaking another language. The only words I can make out were apartment 250, and she kept repeating that over and over again like a broken record. Upon hearing that, I start to wonder from a moment if maybe they just drunk and have the wrong apartment number, but that is impossible. To open the lock, you have to have a copy of my exact key or some kind of lock picking device. I have never copied my key or given it to anyone. Here's another nothing. Not only is 250 not my apartment number, that apartment number does not exist. anyone in the complex. Standing back from my door, I took a long broom handle and jabbed it hard into the surface of the door, letting them know that I am on the other side. They immediately stopped playing around with the lock and took off running. I debated whether or not to call 911 and decided against it unless they come back. I know that they are doing to be long gone by the time anyone gets here, and it would have been too risky to try and follow them to get a better description or a license plate. I did not have anyone identifying information. My father police report the next day and gave my apartment manager a heads up. They said it was unusual, but they would alert the resource officer and asked for police presence for the next couple of nights. Nothing in ever come for the report, but that was not a surprise to me. Nobody else in the apartment has ever reported anything similar happening. One precaution I took was to replace the latch with a smart lock so it could always be locked from the inside even when I am not home. It's crazy to think that a latch was the only thing preventing an armed confrontation between myself and the intruders. They say you don't really know the what you do in a situation like this until it actually happens. If one good idea come out of this, I feel confident that I responded in the right way and was ready for the unthinkable. I live in a small city and nothing much exciting happens around here, especially in my neighborhood. It was pretty rare to even see a car pass after 10 p.m. I am 21-year-old male and I spend most nights playing video games or reading. I rent a two-bedroom apartment under my parents' house with my sister and her 3-year-old son. She doesn't stay home most nights and my dad works 2 hours away from home, so generally I am alone from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. The street I live on gets really dark and my house is the last one on this end. From my house to the crossroad is about the distance of a football field. The first time I saw the flashlight guy was about a month and a half ago. As I said before, the neighborhood shuts down by 10, so it seemed odd when I went out for a smoke and saw a man dressed in all black with his hood pulled up walking down my street, but I brushed it off. He was finished my cigarette and they went back inside and went to my bedroom and began reading a book. 15 minutes later I see flashlight beam sweep through my windows. I should mention that one whole wall of my bedroom is all windows. At this point I was pretty unnerved, so I put down my book and went to go check things out. I did not see anything at first, so I checked it up to me being paranoid and sat back down. But it was knocked before it happened again. By now that something was wrong, and I had a really bad feeling in my stomach. I just wanted to ignore it and hope it would just go away, but I urged myself to be a man and look out the window. Looking outside, I noticed the man from earlier standing about 15 feet away, shining his flashlight directly in front of him. He was moving. I stood here for a couple of minutes, wondering what the hell he was doing, until he was swept his flashlight across the whole downstairs of my house. As I said before, no one besides of me was home. I was pretty creeped out of by this point, and I was not sure what to do. Friends, their story begins